Hello, I'm Lee James, host of Sports World on the BBC World Service. For the best of previews to the sporting weekend, listen to George Addo Jr. on the Locker Room on Joy 99.7 FM.
Live on radio, live online. This is the Locker Room on Joy 99.7 FM with George Addo Jr.
Tennis on the horizon with key clashes in the final Grand Slam of the year expected on Saturday and Sunday. It's been an eventful slam with the loss of key figures and the want for fresh blood.
She hits her backhand cross court, training drill, and into the net, Stevens! And Sevastova drops her racket in absolute disbelief because she is into the semi-finals of the US Open, her first ever Grand Slam semi-final, and the defending champion Sloane Stevens is out.
Actually happened a couple of times already during this tournament that you survive on the court in a way and then thrive with a win. Not easy conditions to play in, but it's same for both players.
You know, I tried to fight every point, and especially in the end, I really focus again and really focus every 1 point at a time.
I have nothing to prove, and you know, I'm just on my way on the tour and doing.
23-time Grand Slam champion Serena Williams hoping to win another. Rafa Nadal edging closer to Roger Federer's haul of Grand Slam titles. Real hunger for his 18th. Nadal faces Juan Martin Del Potro, while Novak Djokovic battles Kei Nishikori for a place in Sunday's final. Preview to the female singles finals here too. Also ahead, football.
Yeah, it's also very good for us. I mean, we all knew that Kojo is a very good player. He's not coming not because he's not playing or he's not playing good, but we are happy to have him on board.
I'm proud. I'm shocked that these players who was on the pitch and also these players who didn't come on the pitch, the friendship and what they did was absolutely amazing, and I will never forget this defeat. This is my best defeat in my career.
I'm going to mainly focus on the players who play in the best leagues and in the best leagues or in Europe until the contrary is proven. The best clubs and the best players are in Europe, and that's where I think the best players of Cameroon should be aiming for then.
The absence of club football ushers in the international break, and players will be battling for national pride when they take on different vendettas. The Black Stars, a place at the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations.
This current game, they invited a lot of foreign players, so normally I don't depend totally on what I have seen, you know, because tactically they could change their style of play or it could change some players. So the most important thing is to prepare very well so that whoever comes up, you know, be able to face them. Planning tactically, you know, very well, you know, so that irrespective of game plan they put up.
We'll be in Nairobi for updates ahead of the Ghana-Kenya AFCON qualifier, preview to all games expected on the continent, and we take a good look at the UEFA Nations League, which is slated to begin tonight. UEFA's away goals rule will be on the chopping board this afternoon after top coaches suggested at a recent workshop the rule has a negative impact on home teams. So we ask, should the away goals rule be reviewed? We are in Niger for updates on the ongoing Waffle Zone B qualifying tournament and in Birmingham to gauge the mood ahead of Emre Can's fight with Samuel Vargas on Saturday night. Time to talk about what the world is talking about in the world of sport. Hello from me, George Addo Jr., and welcome to Preview Friday.
When the referee's whistle sounds, when the beautiful flicks and tricks account for the goals and wins, when the tempers flare and the passion is in overdrive, where do you stand as a fan? It is time to turn your passion into some real cash. Monetize your shouts at 138.com, the newest and best sports betting and virtual gaming company in town. Sign up and enjoy 200% bonus on your first deposit on www.138.com/Africa. Experience live in play with unbeatable odds and endless markets and prompt payment. Mobile money enabled with quick deposit and easy withdrawal. Visit any of our retail shops in Accra at Alajo, Caprice, Jamestown, Taifa, Soweto, and Teshi. In Kaswa at Newmarket and Ufako. 138.com is licensed by the Gaming Commission of Ghana and it is not for persons below age 18. Bet responsibly. Call 050-9138-138 for any inquiries. Join the winning team now. 138.com. Win every day.
Live on radio, live online. This is The Locker Room with George Addo Jr.
And a great good afternoon to you, wherever you find yourself. The Locker Room and Joy 99.7 FM is proudly brought to you by the kind courtesy of Bet138.com. Our lovely sponsors, we love to be here. And I have to tell you this before we even continue the show. Because how would you feel when you finally, after that long search, you find that place where all you do is win? Make a move to 138.com, the best sports betting and virtual gaming company in town. Register and bet with us to enjoy 200% bonus on your first deposit on www.138.com/Africa. Now feel the taste of best odds, endless markets and prompt payments, live in play betting. Visit any of our retail shops at Alajo, Caprice, Kaswa, Jamestown, Taifa, Soweto, and of course Teshi. Look, 138.com is licensed and regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Please, not for persons under 18 years. Bet responsibly. Join the winning team now. 138.com. Win every day. And there's a lot on our plate this afternoon as we go through it. We'll start with tennis though. And first on the list of our previews, we know at Flash and Meadows, we actually have a great women's singles finals there. It's going to be between Serena Williams and Naomi Osaka of Japan. Now the prospect of seeing another Japanese in the male single final is not far-fetched because we know Kei Nishikori will be up against Novak Djokovic later, and of course we have that big one as well with Rafa Nadal coming up against Juan Martin Del Potro. But what kind of tennis open has it been for us this year? Talking about the final Grand Slam of the year.
She hits her backhand cross court, training drill, and into the net, Stevens! And Sevastova drops her racket in absolute disbelief because she is into the semi-finals of the US Open, her first ever Grand Slam semi-final, and the defending champion Sloane Stevens is out.
Actually, it happened a couple of times already during this tournament that you survive on the court in a way and then thrive with a win, but definitely not easy conditions to play in, but it's same for both players.
You know, I try to fight every point, and especially in the end, I really focus again and really focus every 1 point at a time.
You know, I was having a baby this time last year, so I have nothing to prove, and you know, I'm just on my way on the tour and doing the best I can.
I played not so good in Montreal. She played amazing in Montreal. So I knew it would be a different match today. I was feeling good here, previous matches. Yeah, just stick to my game plan, move well, and yeah, take my chances.
Right, of course, so we're looking forward to the two finals tomorrow and on Sunday. Joining me to the analysis of the US Open, as much as we'll be enjoying Flash and Meadows, we've got Joseph Hansen on the line. Joseph, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm great, George. Good to hear from you.
Yes, and I'm so excited to hear from you. It's always good to have you on the tennis side of things. So, thank you once again for joining me. Now, let's begin with a female. Let's get to a female division right now, because I don't know who has disappointed you the most. We've got on my list Ostapenko, Angelique Kerber, Sloane Stevens, Muguruza. You know, who did really surprise you with their exits?
Well, perhaps Ostapenko went out a bit earlier than I would have expected. She's been making steady progress. She's done a brilliant job at all the slams this year. So she went out a bit early. Muguruza, you would say, went out early. She went out in the second or third round. But that was what we also saw at Wimbledon. And the Grand Slam champion, you get the impression that she's never consistent. She could play well today, and not play well tomorrow. So it wasn't so surprising that she went out early. We're not really sure what to expect from her. The same perhaps could be said of Keba, who we must credit is the current Wimbledon champion. She's had a resurgent season, but also went out a bit early. And then, of course, Stevens, I would say, as the defending champion, didn't disappoint, because we have to bear in mind that she beat quite a number of good players on her way to the quarterfinals in Azarenka and Mertens. But the one common factor or denominator that we noticed was the heat. And so ultimately you realize that in a lot of the matches, those who could deal with the heat best managed to get through. The heat certainly affected the likes of even Stevens in her quarterfinal defeat to Sevastova. Yeah, so that's about it.
Okay, so not really a disappointment, in terms of what you, aside, the fact that Stevens went out of the competition earlier than you expected. But, there's a little bit of discussion right there around the female division and whether we're getting finally a set that can lead the way after the old ones have gone. It's difficult to see them out of the window because the likes of Serena Williams are still powering, and even Venus showed a lot. If she didn't come up against her sister, I'm sure she would have, finished in, the latter stages of the competition. So do you think, at least for now, the likes of Osaka, Madison, Sloane, Keba are recurring in semi-finals and maybe the last 2 years? Would you say we have a foundation now for the next set of female tennis players who want to take this away?
Oh yes, we certainly do. And all those players you mentioned, in Tees, who was in the final last year, was in the semi-final this year, and who is a staple at quarterfinals tournament. She is certainly one for the future. Osaka, who I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit, who is also a huge name for herself. We have Pliskova, who you didn't mention, that Bertens, Coco van der Ven.
Well, I think we've lost Joseph, but also in the studio, we've lost Joseph on the line. We're trying to get Joseph back on the line. But of course, Raymond is in the studio as well, and he's been keeping an eye to all of that. He was making the point about, the likes of Bertens, Pliskova, Osaka, all coming through. And fairly, we could say we've got a new set. He'll be coming back on the line, and we'll get to talk about the male division. But we know the Serena Williams, coming up against Naomi Osaka, and there's been a lot said about this. Do you think Serena Williams can power this through? Remember that she disappointed a bit when she won the final against Angelique Kerber in Wimbledon, and then she lost to Angelique Kerber. She doesn't feel too confident. She's playing some good tennis, but she still says, I'm on my way back, and really I don't know what to expect and all of that. She'll really take this from her.
Well, I think it's just a way of taking the pressure off herself, because she knows that she really wants to get that 24th Grand Slam title. She really needs it badly. So at least just take the pressure off yourself a bit, going to the finals against Naomi Osaka, who really has been a handful for her in the last couple of tournaments. And she definitely has to make sure that she doesn't get into that complacent mode. So but I still think that she's played some remarkable tennis in this tournament. She looks very fit. She seems to be believing in her body now. She's got lots of confidence in her body.
You think she can do it?
And I still think that Naomi Osaka she's played some fantastic tennis in this tournament as well. But I think that the experience would come to the fore. I think that the experience of Serena definitely should be able to undo Naomi Osaka. That notwithstanding, I still think that would be an exciting final. It would be one of the finals that we can look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, Joseph, thank you for joining us. We lost you on the line, but we're just making the point about the formation of the next group that will definitely take this spot all the way. And you were mentioning names like Pliskova, Bertens, Van der Koe, and all the Ikes.
Yes, exactly. This is the next class. They certainly look ready to take up the mantle. Osaka, we'll see what she can do on Saturday in that final. I agree with the submission I just heard.
Yeah, from Raymond.
Will certainly be the key differentiator. But if you heard what Madison Keys said after she lost to Osaka, who was playing in her first quarterfinal at this Slam, in her first semi-final, she said if she plays anything like she did against her, that's Madison Keys, then it's going to be an exciting match, and she will give Serena a run for her money.
Serena was standing by, really, with all the antics. She's hoping to win 24th Grand Slam. That's not a cheap feat at all, guys. In that, but we have to talk about the male division. 20-time Grand Slam champion Roger Federer, fell at the hands of John Millman, one which Novak really dealt with easily to go away. I mean, what kind of advice would you give to Roger Federer at this point? Continue to select, the tournaments to participate in, or he needs to increase a bit of activity? Did you feel any rustiness, or you take it all back to the heat problem you were talking about in the beginning?
Well, yes, the heat certainly affected him, and it also affected him in Cincinnati, where he lost to Djokovic and also put in a lack lackluster performance. But in terms of the schedule he runs, I think it works for him because let's be honest, between 2012 and 2017, he didn't win a slam. It was when he dialed back a bit, you changed the size of his racket head and so on and so forth, that he won the Australian Open last year, defended it this year, and of course won Wimbledon as well. He just needs to maintain the schedule he's on. But we have to be honest, Father Time remains undefeated, and at his age, it seems finally age is catching up with him. But Federer is not one you'd want to write off. But given what we saw, the manner in which he lost to Millman.
It's good you say the manner in which he lost, because 76 and 4 errors for Roger Federer, that's like an amateur player.
Yes, so many unforced errors, uncharacteristic play, his game, plan A, plan B weren't working, had to reach for plan C and plan D, nothing was working. He made Millman look good. Millman is actually a good player, but not as good as Federer made him look. And let's be honest, you could see signs that he's on the decline. But like we've said several times before, we can never write Roger Federer off until he says he's
right. Joe, let's deal with what we have now. And let's start with Novak Djokovic. Yes, he reunited with his former trainer and indeed the whole team that has made him look very, very good. Has won everything tennis, aside Grand Slams this year, winning the Wimbledon, and he's going very strong. Do you fancy him for this one?
Do I think he would win this US Open?
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Of the 4 semi-finalists, he's perhaps the one you'd give a slight edge, given the way he's playing. Given the fact that he spent less time on the court than, say, Nadal, for example, who, of course, needs to get past Del Potro. And you look at his form coming into this final. And you also look at the fact that he appears rejuvenated. He seems to have found peace with balancing his family life with life on the court. He's, like you said, he's brought back his former coach, Marian, and all seems to be going well. His game is right back in top shape, and he seems to also be coping with the heat well. So you'd make him a slight favorite, but perhaps Kei Nishikori aside, I'd say either of Nadal or Djokovic or Del Potro could win this one.
So you mean Nadal should just have it easy against one Martin Del Potro?
You're asking if Nadal would have an easier game against Del Potro?
Yeah, the semi-final.
Oh, definitely not. He spent 5 more hours on the court than Del Potro.
Yeah.
Del Potro has lost to him in the last 3 slams. Most of them were agonizing defeat. Del Potro is playing as good as he played in 2009 where he won the title, beating both Federer and Nadal on the way. And karma could change for Del Potro. He may just win this one.
Okay, so let's see how it goes. But your winners for this, I mean, you're going for Novak and Serena Williams? I think it's difficult. It's difficult. I had a chat with Jeff last night. It's difficult to clearly say what, because Serena can disappoint you sometimes.
Yes, she can. Though she hasn't disappointed us recently.
Yeah.
Her loss to Kerber at the Wimbledon final
was interesting.
Not a disappointment. This was a lady just coming back from giving birth to a child getting back into fitness. And in this tournament, you realize that she's getting back to the Serena we knew. So if she were to lose to Osaka tomorrow, that would be disappointing. But I would say it could go 3 sets, but ultimately Serena's mettle and the fact that she's playing at home, an American playing in front of the crowd who absolutely adore her, I think she will just get it done.
Thank you very much, Joseph.
Slam number 24 is here.
Right, thank you very much, Joseph. We'll be looking forward to all that happens, and there's a lot to come, especially in the male division, the semi-finals, and then the final for the male on Sunday. We have to do a bit of football right now because we stay on the continent here right now because countries are resuming the fight for a place at next year's Africa Cup of Nations slated for Cameroon there. So we'll talk the Black Stars Nairobi game shortly, but first let's find out who is up to what, definitely on the continent this weekend. Here is Sawan Saki with a wrap.
Egypt begins a new era when they face Niger in a Group Day 2 clash at the Borg El Arab Stadium in Alexandria on Saturday. It will be the Pharaohs' first match under Mexican coach Javier Aguirre, who was appointed last August, replacing Argentine Hector Coupe, who left his position after the FIFA World Cup Russia 2018. Shifting focus to the Continental Showpiece event qualifiers, Egypt, losing finalists at the last edition in Gabon 2017, need nothing short of a win against Niger to remain in contention. The Pharaohs occupy the bottom of the log after losing their opening day game away to Tunisia 1-0, while Niger managed a home barring draw with Swaziland. After getting off to a dream start that saw them do the unthinkable with a 2-0 win victory away to Nigeria in Uyo in June 2017, South Africa's campaign has been rocked by unexpected turns with injuries to key players that has destabilized the preparation ahead of their crucial Group E match against Libya on Saturday in Durban. The team reported for camp on Monday and will be involved in a series of friendly matches against local sides including Amazulu to fine-tune for the crucial match. While they are seen as underdogs in the group, Libya thrashed the hapless Seychelles 5-1 in the opening game and will be hoping to make a return to the African showpiece. The North Africans' last AFCON appearance was in 2012 where they made their third showing and were booted out in the group stages. Their best showing was back in 1982 where they finished second place as hosts. Seychelles host Nigeria in the Group E clash in Victoria also on Saturday. Malawi travels to Casablanca to face Morocco in a crucial Group B Day 2 clash on Saturday, with the Flames hoping to return to their base unscathed. The Flames share top spots with Cameroon after a lone goal victory over Comoros in June 2017 in Blantyre, thanks to a Joao Fury first-half strike. Morocco, on the other hand, lost by a similar scoreline to Cameroon away in Yaoundé. The Flames are returning to Morocco for the second time inside a year, having played friendlies against Togo and Morocco under-23 friendlies that Malawi won 1-0 and drew 1-1 respectively. Head-to-head give the Atlas Lions some upper hand as they won 5 games, drawn twice and lost once to Malawi in previous meetings. Ethiopia coach Abraham Mebratu has named a 23-man squad for the Group F Day 2 encounter against Sierra Leone on Sunday in Hawassa. The Warriors are pointless after a 5-0 loss to Ghana in Kumasi in June 2017. Sierra Leone also beat Kenya 2-1 in Freetown. Kenya hosts Ghana in the other Group E clash also on Sunday in Nairobi. The Black Stars departed Ghana on Monday to camp in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia to acclimatize before the short trip to Kenya.
And there's live commentary on that game, but Ghana versus Kenya. That will be here on Joy 99.7 FM. We build up at 12:15, so do join us tomorrow for that as we bring you the commentary. Remember, that's brought to us by the kind courtesy of First National Bank. How can we help you? Joining me in studio to do the analysis on the Black Stars, Hans Mensah Ando. Hans, how are you doing this afternoon?
Very well, George. How's it going?
Very, very good. It's good to have you here right now. So why don't we talk about the changing Black Stars squad? What really is it?
So the team is in transition, obviously, and we are seeing either by natural design or by circumstance or by decisions of the coach, we are seeing new faces coming every now and then and old faces giving way. First reference I'll make is to the Ayew brothers. We know it's well documented the reasons why Coach Kwesi Appiah has decided not to be calling them up. It has something to do with the final FIFA World Cup qualifier that we played and the fact that the two players decided not to join the team for the following game. I think that was in Congo. And the coach has quite issues with their commitment to the team. So he feels it's best if he's not calling them. I think that there is more to the story that we simply do not know. For some, of course, they are going to draw that conspiracy theory of Kwesi Appiah having issues with the
Ayew's family.
Exactly, but he clearly says that he wants players who are willing to die for the country, which implies that, in his opinion, the Ayew brothers are simply not willing.
And maybe saying for Asamoah is not ready to play. Okay, we don't want to go into the issues about it.
So Asamoah clearly, I think that we're only giving the courtesy of an old player who has to go out honorably. I think after AFCON 2019, if we qualify, we won't be seeing Asamoah anymore in the Black Stars, and so I think he's still in the team on the base of what he's done and the fact that we have to, face him out rather nicely, and so we give him that last word in the AFCON 2019, and then that's it. New faces are coming in. Case in point, we saw him.
I wanted to just bottle it down to the action that's happening on the pitch in terms of the competition for places right now. As if we go to the goalkeeping department, pretty straightforward. Richard Ofori, Marisburg United, should clearly have the upper hand over Lawrence Atisiki. No problems with that. Slight situation there in the right back. Are we still keeping Harrison Afo really, truly?
It's very likely that he'll be the man at right back, even though he arrived late in camp. Daniel Opare is also in the team. I don't know what the decision of the referee, of the coaches is going to be really. If he's going to base the fact that Afo arrived late in camp and then put him on the bench.
I don't know, but doesn't that itself defeat the purpose of? Doesn't it defeat the argument of I know what some players can give. I want players who are committed, or I know what people. We're looking for fresh blood. We're still looking for Harrison Afo right back at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing against Harrison Afo truly on that point. But
I get it. The thing about changing a team is this: you don't do a wholesale phasing out.
You gradually do it.
It's gradual.
Don't you think it's problematic rather than gradually trying to phase somebody out? Do you have a right back somewhere who can slot in?
How long has Daniel Powell been out of the Black Stars? You have to consider that as well. I think that when it's not broken, you don't fix it.
Okay.
Is that phone not performing? That really has to be the question.
That's the key question.
If he's performing, you don't really need to kick him out and then bring in a new player.
All right.
But you do that with a view that he's got maybe a couple of years more in. So let me get somebody in there who clearly will be his replacement. I don't simply.
So your lateral somehow will be Harrison Affo and
Harrison
Daniel Opare.
Affo,
No problems with that at all.
Exactly.
Slight issues in centre back there. We spoke about it. But Nicolas Opoku should be clearly leading the line for this. Or you think Daniel Amate becomes an automatic choice after
for me,
Kasim Nuhu and John Boyd.
Centre back, we are going to see Daniel Amate. So his name is going to be there as a centre back.
Who partners him?
But I think for this game we are going to see Nicolas Opoku
okay.
partnering Daniel Amate.
No Ayus in the midfield. There's Kwajua Samoa now.
Yes.
There's Thomas Partey now. How do you deal with that? Because I don't think we have issues with what's going to happen on the flanks. We know Frank Champo and Here's
why I think that the coach is going to opt for a 4-2-3-1 formation because of the return of Kwajua Samoa. I see a situation where we are playing Thomas Partey and maybe Aqua, a free Aqua. Yes, as a two stoppers.
And you're going to put Kwajua
Samoa
up front.
Up front. Okay,
some have suggested that Thomas Partey is rather going to be up front, behind the striker.
There are two scenarios that are likely to happen. Either you see a free Aqua, Kwajua Samoa as a two stoppers, and Thomas Partey up front as an attacking midfielder,
or the other way,
the reverse.
But
whatever happens, we are going to see that combination. And then either side of Kwajua Samoa or Thomas Partey, down the left and right wings, Christian Achu and Nana.
Nothing will change there.
I don't think
striking department.
And then Rafael Jamina up front is what I suspect.
Just what you have.
Yes.
The Levante man to do just what you have.
That's really
thank you very much, Hans. I would not really waste your time in asking you what you think the scoreline will be. It's all about the performance, and we try to find out how the guys will be doing. I think definitely. So. Hans, thank you very much. Hans is going straight on television, is it? Yeah, there's a joint news channel on Multi TV on Sports Today, and that's at 2 p.m. So you have to get out there in 18 minutes after you're listening to us. But we have to quickly go for the Joy Sports BBC two-way series. I've been speaking with the BBC's Rob Schofield. Surely time for international action. Before that though, top coaches have suggested UEFA review the away goals rule. Does it need any tweaking at all?
Yeah, I think it absolutely does. I think the away goals rule, which was brought in 1965, a long time. Football was a very different place in 1965. It was brought in as an alternative to tossing a coin or staging a replay on a neutral ground. The idea behind it was that back then, playing away from home was significantly more difficult than playing at home. And by being the host club, as you were in European competition, you had a great advantage over your visiting team. It's just not the case nowadays, simply because back then things like travel and kind of staying in arrangements and things like this, and the arduous task it was to get across Europe and play different clubs, it's just simply not the case anymore. Games away in the Premier League, for example, a club, for instance, like even a London club like Tottenham or Arsenal, for example, travelling up to Newcastle, it's easier for them potentially to get to France to play an away game in Europe. So I think this is a very timely decision. Not that a decision's been made yet, but clearly a relatively unanimous decision by the managers who attended this UEFA event. The Deputy General Secretary Giorgino Marchetti says that they're very open to this discussion, they'll listen to them, and I think basically it would pretty much allow for European ties to be played a little bit more on a level footing, and still ties to be contested home and away, of course, but that advantage of scoring away, which is so often not only determined but stifled ties at the latter end of tournaments in Europe. I think it is about time that we had a little review on that.
Let's talk FIFA's final shortlist for their top award. While many Messi fans had to contend with the Stars exclusion, even confusing was the fact that no World Cup winner was in there. Did anything go wrong?
I don't think anything went wrong as such. I think this was an opportunity for FIFA to recognise the importance of their biggest tournaments. So, the UEFA Champions League, for example, is represented by, 2 finalists in Ronaldo and Salah, but also, Luka Modric, who was there on the pitch alongside Ronaldo for Real Madrid. He's slightly more there, you feel, on his World Cup performance for Croatia, receiving Player of the Tournament in Russia this summer. So I think, what we're seeing here, and a lot of people are saying, big high-profile absentees, Lionel Messi, Antoine Griezmann. Messi, of course, deemed by many still as the world's best player. But Messi, although romping to another La Liga title with Barcelona, very much, did have a disappointing Champions League campaign and World Cup with Argentina, while Griezmann, lifted the Europa League, which is Europe's second-tier European competition, did of course win the World Cup with France, but didn't really set the tournament alight in the way that Luka Modric did with Croatia. So I think this is potentially FIFA. I think FIFA have seen this as an opportunity to show that they do have broadening horizons in the players of which they're recognising.
So then, let's talk the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers across the continent. Ghanaians will have their eyes on the Black Stars in Nairobi. Which games, though, will catch your attention aside that?
Well, I'm very interested in Patrick Kluivert alongside Clarence Seedorf in charge of Cameroon. They're at Comoros in their Group B qualifying match. I think Cameroon football has not been in a great place recently. I think the appointment of Clarence Seedorf as manager with Kluivert as his assistant is high profile and interesting. We'll see how that plays out. Also, Mohamed Salah very much trying to mend his relationship with the Egyptian FA. Here we are, a side who were disappointing really, and so much expected of them at the World Cup. They're playing Niger in there, and they've got a little bit of work to do in their qualification group to Egypt, having lost their opening match. And then, we've got all these issues with Ghanaian football, rocked by this corruption crisis, without an FA, without many of their stars. The Ayew brothers, Asamoah Gyan as well. They're in Nairobi to play Kenya in what should be an interesting game for them. It's Ghanaian football, again, not in a good place at the moment. If they can have a successful qualifying campaign, it would at least help get things back on track.
Finally, what should we expect from the all-new UEFA Nations League, and which games are of massive interest to you?
Well, a really interesting concept, isn't it? The UEFA Nations League, adding more competition, high-profile matches. Gone are the days, well, at least more. Well, we're seeing less pointless international friendlies, but we're getting something at stake here with the UEFA Nations League. I'm looking forward to matches in particular. I've got to admit, I think England, Spain on Saturday at Wembley is a really intriguing fixture. Two sides who've had very contrasting World Cups. England going all the way to the semi-final, surprising so many, with Spain crashing out in the last 16 tie against host Russia. Here we are with England in a group with Spain and Croatia. Croatia, of course, who knocked them out in the semi-finals of the tournament. Two, impressive nations, seasoned international operators. A chance for Gareth Southgate and his young England side to try and continue to prove they can compete with the best in international football. Where we look down the leagues, Switzerland and Iceland as well, another match in League A of the Nations League. I think it's just the introduction of these matches of nations playing fellow countries of which they're well matched and should be more competitive, I think is a welcome addition to the international landscape.
Rob Schofield there with our analysis. But of course, we have to stay with UEFA and Jose Mourinho, Rafa Benitez, Arsene Wenger, among a panel of managers who brought up the matter of changing or tweaking the away goals rule. UEFA's away goals rule, of course. They are hoping that something can change. We're just asking the question right now, is anything though broken with that rule that's in place?
Chingasunda with the corner, flicked goalwards and in by Kostas Manolas, and as things stand, Roma are knocking Barcelona Barcelona out of the UEFA Champions League.
Two teams have gone out on away goals that I think should be questioned because it's a rule that is outdated now and that has to be changed, and I fight for that for a long time.
Lamar takes it in towards Bagayoko! Brilliant header! Picked his spot and buried it in the bottom corner, and Monaco celebrate wildly on the touchline. This tie, incredibly, has swung yet again, and now it is 6-all on aggregate.
Look, it should count maybe after extra time, because it's not, this rule has been created in the 60s to favorize the teams who to attack away from home. Since that, football has changed.
It's the end! It's a fantastic start for Chelsea! It's Iniesta! And the Chelsea fans cover their eyes in horror, and it's heartbreak at Stamford Bridge. Iniesta rattles one in.
And that's a goal most Chelsea fans will still remember till date. That Iniesta goal in 2009. The UEFA Champions League, guys. Thank you very much for joining me in the studio. Raymond's here. And, of course, Safo Bafojima. You're good?
Very fine, George.
Let's deal with this matter very quickly and objectively as much as we can. So tell me, what really has been running through the minds of Jose Mourinho, Rafa Benitez and Arsene Wenger? Why do they want to change?
I think it has more to do with the fact that football has evolved over the years. Initially, we didn't have the goal line technology. We didn't have the VAR. But because of certain injustices,
so they just want
which
to change?
were meted out to certain teams, those things came to the fore. For me, let's ask ourselves, why was the away goal rule introduced? It was introduced somewhere in 1965 when Europe still had the European Cup Winners' Cup. And at the time, the remedy was the most unfair means to decide on teams which were at level. Say, to toss the odd coin or to allow teams to play a replay after two-legged games have gone the long haul of extra time and teams were level. So, in order to cure that level of
the issues that they got in terms of making it fair,
making it that level of unfairness, they had to introduce the away goal rule. And for me, the reason why they introduced was that because it was so difficult to go and play away games, teams who were going away were now being encouraged to score goals away. But over the last century, it has changed because now home teams now have more incentives to play and defend well at home in the first leg, because they know that if they draw scoreless away, they have the opportunity to score away goals. So the pendulum have swung. Instead of now teams being encouraged to score away goals, now home teams are now being encouraged to defend well at home, with the hope that when they go away and they score, they give themselves the chance to qualify for the next stages of the competition. So for me, I think that the game has also changed. Before, the pitches, there was lack of uniformity in terms of the dimensions of the football pitches. Away fans were very acrimonious. They were pulling players here and there when they were playing corners. But now there is uniformity of pitches across Europe. There is ease of travel from one European destination to the other. In the 60s, it wasn't the case because there were strained diplomatic relations between European nations. It took a long hours for teams to be able to travel from one part of Europe to the other. But now, because of the European Economic Agreement and ease of travel, teams are able to travel on the same day to a venue and return the next day. So the dynamics have changed.
And you think that they have to move as well.
And now, away teams who were supposed to have benefited from the away goals are now not benefiting, in the sense that home teams who are playing first legs at home are now defending instead of scoring.
Let me come to you, Raymond, on that. Do you think that notion is right, that it's much easier to play away games now?
Well, George, to a certain extent, a lot has changed. If you look at the standards itself, lots of clubs are becoming very competitive. So Real Madrid can spend lots of money on a player. Barcelona can do same. Manchester United can do same. Chelsea can do same. So all these teams can go away and score goals. It's become very easy because of the level of quality. That gap has been bridged. In the past, when this rule actually came, we saw teams like Real Madrid dominate world football, dominate Champions League football. We saw the Milanese teams also do same. And at that point, there was a gulf in class between the teams that would travel away, especially without their home fans in the stadium. And these are teams who always went out there, to set out in a Catanaccio way. defensively, a defensive mode. And so it was supposed to be an incentive to try to get them, to get out of their shelves and play some fantastic football, because there was going to be a reward for it. So I think that in the past it was difficult because they didn't have their fans mostly in the stadium to watch games. Again, the level of quality.
Yeah, but you helped me. You helped me to understand. But I mean, the atmosphere, I mean, at Anfield has hardly changed over the years.
Yes, George.
And then if you go to Anfield, you're still up against. You might have good quality. I mean, quality players to go and deliver. But the atmosphere is still the same.
Yes, but you go to Anfield not trying to sit back and defend, but you try to take the game to Liverpool. You try to take the game to them and try to at least pick their pockets and score a goal, because you know that's the reward. You'll be going back home with your into your second leg. So I think that to a certain extent it's easy to score goals these days, and lots of teams are always trying to kill the game in the first leg. Lots of home.
So you're making the point it's making the home teams negative. They're looking at defending all through.
I think that home teams are not defending all through. It just
because when you consider that becomes a problem. Then
they try to attack so much that they are open to counter attacks. That seems to be the change now, because lots of teams try to play attacking football. They try to put the pressure on to kill the game in the first leg. Then it gives the opposition the chance to hit you on the counter attacks and get a goal. That's how easy it's become, and that's why I'm saying that for most of these Champions League games, we've seen lots of away goals season in season out simply because of the balance of quality.
So what kind of tweaking are you looking at? Total scrap of the rule itself?
For me, from the way I see it, I think the best case scenario would be take out that element of the away goal and say if teams are level on goals, say 4-4, it goes over the long haul into extra time, and the teams will be separated by penalties instead of the away goal. Just imagine the case in 2013 where
you prefer penalties to away
penalties because
isn't the away goals better than penalties? Isn't that even
I think penalties is the most fair means to separate the teams. Look at the situation in 2013 where Arsenal lost 3-1 at the Emirates against Bayern Munich, but they went all the way to Germany and won by 2-0, and they were eliminated based on the away goal rule, even though they had leveled 3-3 on aggregate with Bayern Munich. And for me, I think that level of approach to the game is very unfair. The case of Chelsea in 2009, they draw 0-0 in Camp Nou against Barcelona. In the dying embers of the game, Iniesta equalized after
because you failed to defend,
and they go through. So for me, I think they need to scrap it and introduce the penalties to separate the teams. And I think that would be the most fair means to ensure that teams progress into competitions and teams win championships.
That's one rule that has made the UEFA Champions League unique from all the other competitions. Do you think UEFA are ready to allow this to go?
George, absolutely. It's made it unique in its own right, because you look at the away goal rule itself. It brings a lot of excitement, during that knockout stages.
Excitement and suspense.
A lot of excitement and suspense. George, you get to miss out on the danger of taking a 2-1 lead and knowing very well that the next
you have 180 minutes of football.
Yes,
wherever the goal is scored,
George, you can imagine the excitement of you being up by 2-1, and then you know that the next goal is just not going to be the equalizer, but at 2-2, that is probably taking you out of the tournament. All those things add to the excitement of the game, and I think that this is a unique identity of the UEFA Champions League. And George, a lot of this was this rule was actually introduced to make sure that we don't have long games. We don't go into extra time. We don't go into penalties.
Extra time and penalties.
And George, if we have to go back to penalties, I think penalties are so unfair. The lottery of penalty shootouts, it's unfair.
The penalty is not a lottery. You have the opportunity to kick a ball.
George, if you are good enough,
compared to say toss a coin,
you kill the tie in 180 minutes. If you are good enough, you kill the tie in 90 minutes. You don't need an away goal. So I think that it should stay.
Yeah, because as a team, I think you can produce your goal if you want to produce your goal. Why do you want to go down penalties when there's a lot of pressure on you and the
want
nerves?
To ensure fair play at all levels of the game.
Penalties are not
fair. The away goal needs to be scrapped. Teams needs to go the long haul. Games needs to be decided by the penalties.
Yeah,
then you know that the clear winner is out there. But if you draw 0-0,
so you want it to be scrapped, you want it to stay.
Yeah, we might see.
But this is going to stay this weekend. This is going to stay this weekend because the UEFA Nations League is on, and we'll be looking forward to all the games. Moses Jabor has a wrap on what to expect there.
Roberto Mancini has had a mixed time since taking over the Italy job earlier this year, but now the real test begins for the former Man City boss as he leads the 4-time World Cup winners in this autumn's Nations League against Robert Lewandowski's Poland later today. Turkey have seen a very disappointing finish of the World Cup qualifiers last year, but Mircea Lucescu's men have picked it up through their friendlies and now host 2018 World Cup quarterfinalist Russia for their UEFA Nations League clash on the back of a 5-game unbeaten streak. Albania will host Israel. On Saturday, England will be expecting a warm welcome home from the Wembley crowd when they take on Luis Enrique's Spain. Switzerland and Iceland kick off their respective Nation League campaign when they meet on Saturday evening. And on Sunday, World Cup champions France host their first game of the UEFA Nations League when they welcome Netherlands to the Stade de France after Didier Deschamps' side were held to a goalless draw against Germany on Thursday. And Wales will hope to build on their positive start when Ryan Giggs and his men travel to Denmark.
Live on radio, live online, this is The Locker Room with George Addo Jr.
And we're stepping out. Quick reminders there for you. Remember that this show is proudly brought to us by the kind courtesy of Bet138.com. We've got boxing for you. And then you have to get to that, of course. And McCann will be up against Thomas Vargas. That's another one we're looking forward to. Guys, thank you very much for joining me in the studio. Raymond, Nyamado, and Safo Bafojima. It's good. A big thank you to the entire team for making this work out. We're definitely meeting next week where we get to do some more analysis. So, Ghana versus Kenya, that game is on. And we're bringing you live commentary tomorrow at 12:15, and all of that is probably brought to us by the kind courtesy of First National Bank. So let me come straight to Ernest. You were looking forward to that game,
yeah,
Ghana
absolutely.
versus Kenya, right?
Yes. The Kenyan students yesterday, they don't think it's a big game.
Thinking about the other man.
Charlie, whether you like it or not, we are winning this and we are doing it big.
And right. What we got in the news.
So coming up in the